was cutting open a fish.
Oh, you're.
Get the out of here! Get the out of here!
All right, so
Interesting.
this was a fishing competition where it's for big money. These are professional fishers, where the guy came in first place, and this other fisherman cut open the fish and found that he was stuffing weights in a bunch of fish, and he was winning. And now they're like, and this guy's won a lot of money. Forgive me if I get all the details wrong. I think this guy's won a ton of, like, this one was like for $10,000 or $30,000, 30,000, but he's won $10,000 tournaments. He's won a boat. So it's like this guy's racking in 100,000 plus, and he has a boat, all from cheating. And I think he did face some legal action. So like he got to give away his license. I don't think he can be competing anymore, his fishing license, and he's facing like some kind of house arrest or something. Okay, so so this guy's seen. Have you guys heard of this story before?
Yeah,
I have. This is new for me.
You saw it, Cash?
Yeah, I have.
It's great. It's a huge story. Yeah, so it's just it's wild, and I'll tell you why I showed that. It's very important to me. But we do have a crazy story coming up. So let me go ahead and switch over here. Are you guys ready for the story?
ready.
Once
When
upon
you
a
are.
time. All right, let's go. You guys have the floor.
All right, so I kind of want to set this up because this does kind of involve someone who used to be a part of our community and is no longer part of that. His name is J7, Montana to Rice 49. You might know him as one of those two if you've ever encountered him. And just to kind of set things up here a little bit, me and him kind of had a little bit of a spat, if you will. Basically he had this joke where he would just, if something happened into a league, let's say like a trade happened and like he didn't like the trade, he would just blame me because I was the commissioner in a lot of leagues. But even in leagues where I wasn't the commissioner in, he'd still just like blame me kind of like as a joke, like, oh, Sush, come on, you can't let this go through. I'm like, well, I'm not commissioner, right? So it started as a joke, and then I remember I was trying to get a new league started, and I was asking some people not part of the couch community, and they were saying no. This guy told me that you were kind of a shady commish, doing all this type of stuff. So at that point, the joke had gone a little bit too far. Honestly, no, seriously. At that point, like now, what's preventing me from getting guys into a league? All right. So I told him, hey, like this is what's going on. Like cut it out, stop it. And he continued for months after. And basically, my kind of what did I do? How did I resolve it? I removed him from my debut league in the middle of a playoff matchup. Okay, the reason why I did it was not because of personal attacks for me or whatever. I thought that he had bad intentions at this point. Like I was telling him, hey, like this is kind of screwing things up, and he continued to do it. At that point, it's like, all right, this guy clearly has bad intentions. And then Cash told me this story, and man, if we're talking bad intentions, I mean, what I just said has absolutely no comparison to what you're about to lead into here. It's a lot. There's a lot of evidence. It's going to be a lot of, we're going to try to organize it as best as we can. So, Cash, I'm going to kind of just walk me through. Give me the bottom line here. What exactly happened here? Like, honestly, what happened?
Yeah, so bottom line is a lot of irony going on with him saying you're a cheat. So essentially, he created a league, invited a bunch of people. Most people I knew, I think like eight or so out of the 12 I knew. But then last person who joins ends up being a burner account, and he's trading with himself and kind of making sure he wins the league. Obviously super shady.
So basically what you're saying is that the last guy who joined was J7 creating a second account. There's a different username, different email, whatever. And now he's in control of two teams, and he's using one team to kind of build the other up. Who cares about one team when you can just combine two into one and just dominate the league. So that's
sure.
basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that is wild to say that, right? I mean, that's clear cut collusion. There's no, if, ands, or buts about it. I mean, any set of bylaws that says, hey, this league is anti-collusion, that's exactly what they mean. You cannot, control two teams or do those types of one-sided deals intentionally. So obviously, it's a very serious accusation. In leagues that I'm in, and I'm sure a lot of other leagues, people like that just usually instantly get removed if you have proof. But it's a very serious accusation. So I just want to kind of, I guess, get started here. Like, what was the first kind of red flag, I guess, that you saw in the situation where it's like, okay, hold on, something's not right here? Because obviously you see a guy, I think the name was Freddie something. We'll get into that in a moment. Obviously you see a guy you don't recognize join. The first thought is obviously not going to be, hey, this guy's colluding. It's just some new guy, new face. We'll see what he's about. Obviously, there must have been some sort of early sign. So what was that exactly?
Yeah, so like it was very, very early into the draft.
The
And
startups?
yeah, startup draft. And so he had made like a very egregious trade. It was like to his 2024 rookie first and 2025 rookie first for like a startup seventh, which, a single rookie first is worth what, like a sixth. So you're getting over double value of what you're paying. And his excuse was, oh, he's new to Dynasty. So at that point, I'm thinking, oh, J7 knew this guy was new to Dynasty. He's just pulling a fast one on him. Whatever, I can let that slide. But that was like the very first sign that kind of started this whole thing.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, because I mean, I'm sure after that, the evidence started piling up and just coming in, after that first one. Usually, like you kind of said, when an uneven trade or a one-sided trade happens, it definitely could be collusion, but it also could be, hey, one guy new to Dynasty just kind of got screwed over by a more seasoned, more experienced player. But then, of course, everything started just kind of piling up, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of evidence. Some of it we're going to be able to show on screen for you guys who are watching live. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we just cannot show. There's a lot of expletives. There's a lot of just inappropriate comments littered in between, etc. So it's just kind of impossible at that point to show you everything. But we've got a lot of kind of proof here. And I kind of wanted to organize it a little bit. Like, let's first get the small things out of the way. Like, there's definitely some, circumstantial evidence, they call it. And then there's definitely some hard slip-ups. Again, I've seen all the evidence. That's kind of how I see it. So let's first kind of, I guess, go through the small things. What were some of those smaller pieces of evidence, kind of circumstantial, that you had lined up?
Yeah, I think kind of some of the first things that I was noticing, he talked very similarly, like the two accounts. I know I knew J7 kind of well. I've been in a lot of leagues with him. Like you said, used to be part of our community. I know how he talks and like kind of the things he says and like how he words things. And they sounded very similarly. I made a couple comments in chat like, are you sure you're not his brother? And they laughed it off. Everyone laughed it off. Haha, whatever. But that was kind of just like the beginning. I think the first actual thing that I started to question if these people were fake or Freddie isn't who he says he was kind of the screenshot showed here. So Dak, great community member, he's honestly just trying to help Freddie out. He's making a joke like, hey, don't deal with Canadians, deal with Texans, because Dak's from Texas, right? And then
J7's from Canada.
Yeah, sorry, J7's from Canada. That's a big plot point here.
Yeah. J7 from Canada. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So yeah, Dak doesn't say anything bad. He's just kind of like, hey, you're kind of new, like making a joke. And then Freddie like just attacks him like as you can read, look at the way you talk, seem to lack brain cells. that's kind of the way J7 talked to Dak before. And like, if you didn't know him, if you didn't know Dak, like I feel like that'd be a wild thing to just say out of nowhere, especially when what Dak said wasn't that bad. So that was kind of like my first inclination, like why is he attacking Dak just for saying something about Canada? Well, he mentioned later that he likes Canada, but he's from California. I just found that super odd. Yeah, and he just kept saying he's from Cali. And then J7 would always say Cali the exact same way as him. So those were kind of like the first few, just like, I'm going to take some notice to this and kind of monitor, what's going on.
Looking at, just to go over the main part of this, Dak is an overwhelmingly positive, fun guy. We all love him in the Discord and the community. He, in a fun way, like a very